Coming up next, researchers who claim they have contacted the dead and captured voices from beyond. And later, has this man made contact with his dead child through a video camera?
Past, people tried to make contact with ghosts through mediums and spiritualists and seances that were often clearly frauds. Today, investigators are taking a much more high-tech approach. A worldwide organization of over 300 researchers is now working in the area of EVP, electronic voice phenomena, where voices, supposedly from ghosts, have been imprinted directly on audio recording tape.
Please try to speak. Please try to give us a message. Please tell me who is here. Please try to give us your name. The time is 11:50 a.m. Sarah Estep recording.
Sarah Estep is the founder of the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena. She considers herself a modern medium, attempting to capture the voices of the dead on audio tape.
The microphones are yours. Who is with me? I'm recording voices from other dimensions. I started a little over 15 years ago. As a psychical investigator, I was very skeptical about the phenomena, but I decided to try it and see if I could get voices, and I did after 7 days. I started picking up voices on my own, and I have continued ever since.
EVP recorders worldwide conform to exacting standards to eliminate the possibility that their machines are simply picking up ambient sound or radio signals, and only new, commercially packaged tape is used. Surprisingly, the ghostly voices are not audible during the actual recording process. They're only discovered later, when the tape is played back. And in some cases, the voices are recorded on the reverse side of the tape. Generally, the words are only heard once. We are repeating them here for clarity. The voices are often recorded at places that are reputed to be haunted. The Westminster Church and Burying Ground in Baltimore is one of the oldest in America. Many of the graves here date back to the 1700s. Edgar Allan Poe is buried here, alongside his young wife, Virginia. Beneath the church, catacombs reach deep into the earth. According to parish records, many of the people entombed here met a violent death. Legend has it the place is haunted. When Sarah Estep came to the catacombs, she recorded these voices.
I was here a few years ago, and I picked up the message. We leave the soul right down here. Would like to speak. Would like to hear from you. And a message for us.
Well, there's a skull right down. Well, there's a skull right down.
Point Lookout Light stands on an open promontory on the western shore of the Chesapeake Bay. Many instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place, events that may reflect the area's tragic past. During the Civil War, 50,000 Confederate prisoners captured at Gettysburg were held here. Forced to endure freezing cold, disease, and starvation, thousands died and were buried in mass graves near the lighthouse.
The prisoners were brought here largely by steamboats and were made to walk along the sandy beach up to Fort Lincoln, where they were then turned inland and marched to the prison pen. Over 50,000 Confederate prisoners made this march, and for over 4,000 of them, it was the last march they made since they died prisoners of war.
This has to be one of the places that I've investigated, that it's just the whole area is just full of activity. It's not just localized to one building or one spot on the grounds. It includes the whole area. I've never come in contact with anything like that before.
The phenomena at Point Lookout seem to follow one of the classic patterns of a haunting. Some ghost researchers suggest that highly charged emotions from the past may actually become imprinted on the environment. And in fact, many people have reported seeing apparitions in uniform, recalling Point Lookout's tragic Civil War history.
When I was driving, I saw a figure of a man dressed in long pants and a gray coat run across the road behind me. It was actually where many thousands of the Confederate soldiers were actually buried. I immediately returned, and when I got to where I'd seen him cross the road, there was no trail coming out of the woods on one side of the road, nor trail into the woods on the other side, nor was there any sign of the anybody in the area. This has happened different times, always on the same section of road. I've never been able to explain this occurrence.
Over the years, many paranormal investigations have been drawn to Point Lookout. Photographer Ron Stallings took this picture inside the lighthouse. Next to Nancy Stallings is what appears to be the faint image of a man in uniform. Electronic voice phenomena has been recorded in several locations inside the lighthouse. The basement seems to be the focus of this activity. Some scientists believe EVP may be caused by the researchers themselves imprinting on the tape through psychokinesis, or as the result of electronic interference. But there is one aspect of EVP that defies explanation: when the recorder asks a specific question and gets a direct answer.
Here in the basement of the lighthouse, I recorded the clear voice of a young boy that said, "I was seeing the war." Were you a soldier here?
I will see no more. I will see no more.
To deny the existence of ghosts is easy. Skeptics say, "I'll believe it when I see it," and walk away. But the people we've met tonight can't just walk away from what they've experienced. Those who have had a paranormal experience remember it for the rest of their lives. But for some, the experience changes their lives forever. Driven by his own experience, Klaus Schreiber has become a leader in the field of paranormal video phenomena, PVP. At his home in Luxembourg, Schreiber points his video camera at the blank screen of a TV, which is on but not set to any channel. He sends the picture of that blank screen from his camera into the TV and begins videotaping. So he is essentially shooting a picture of a picture of a picture into infinity. Nothing appears on the screen while he's shooting, and nothing shows up on tape until he views it one frame at a time. What he discovers then are seemingly unexplainable images of human faces.
There's already my calling coming. There she is on the right-hand side. There she is. Hold her.
The images are truly startling, but the most shocking one of all is a face that Schreiber is convinced is that of his deceased 17-year-old daughter. He believes she is trying to communicate with him. There are as yet no explanations for the images Schreiber finds on the videotape, but others who have repeated the experiment have gotten similar results. PVP is one of the newest methods employed by those seeking a window into another world, and it's still extremely controversial within the field of paranormal research. But Klaus Schreiber isn't deterred by skeptics, because his is a personal mission. He's not just trying to make contact with the afterlife. He's searching for one specific person he thinks he'll find there. For those like Klaus Schreiber, who believe that they've experienced the paranormal, a desire to understand what's happened is often felt on a deeply emotional level. Those who investigate the paranormal are driven by different needs, a scientific desire to find explanations to the seemingly unexplainable, and in the process, to perhaps find the answer to mankind's deepest question. Is there some form of life after death?
I know we live in an age where people say, "Oh, it's all nonsense." Well, it's not all nonsense. There's something still left that needs explaining, which science at the moment doesn't seem to want to look at.
I find it fascinating that we might be able to continue on after death. I find it fascinating that people might be able to move objects with their mind, that we can pick up information reported into the environment potentially.
To ignore it is to retreat into ignorance. To pursue it is to pursue one of the most baffling, enigmatic mysteries that we have ever confronted about the nature of our being. And in so doing, I think we have an opportunity to take a quantum leap in our understanding of ourselves, indeed, in our understanding of reality itself.
The people who have been touched by the ghost experience wonder why it's happening to them. And investigators continue to search for answers. Their research and technology point to the fact that something is there. Just what that something is has yet to be determined. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.